If there's one thing 99% of Formula One fans can agree on, it's that sprint races have been an absolute disaster. Formula One's Uncle Sam, aka Liberty Media, are well aware of this issue but refuse to let sprint weekends go because, well, money talks. So, if sprint weekends are here to stay, are they really that bad? Unfortunately, yes. Over the past couple seasons, we have been blessed with the sprint race weekend in Formula One. At first, this seemed like a pretty cool idea. Basically, more racing over the course of a race weekend. But that quickly proved to be the actual problem with the sprint weekends itself. But before I dive into the reasons why I think sprint races are awful, consider subscribing to the channel because I'm currently trying to reach 250 subscribers by the end of next month, and it would really help out a lot. I post Formula One content every week, live streams after the races, and you can always unsubscribe if you don't like the content. Thank you guys, and let's go. The traditional F1 weekend format is pretty simple. There are 3 free practice sessions, followed by a qualifying session, and then the feature race. Whenever we have a sprint weekend, the entire schedule gets turned upside down. This year, in 2024, teams and drivers will get 1 free practice session, followed by the qualifying for the sprint race. This is then followed by the sprint race itself, then later by the qualifying for the main race, and finally, the main race. Wow, I almost got confused listing all that. The format for this year, however, is much better than last year's, but the main issue is still the sole free practice before the qualifying session. Although often seen as boring by many, the free practice sessions are extremely important to the teams as it gives them loads of up-to-date data before the qualifying sessions. And since there are usually 3 of these sessions, teams can tweak cars, test upgrade packages, and see what is and what isn't working. But when you only have 1 practice session, teams now need to be much more careful. They can't take crazy risks, can't try alternative strategies, they need to be as conservative as possible because they simply don't have the luxury of time. The Chinese Grand Prix, for example, is the first sprint race of this year, at a venue that hasn't been on the F1 calendar since 2019 and has never seen this generation of cars. The track is freshly paved, drivers haven't practiced there, and they decided the best course of action is to take away some of their practice time. Insane. Another reason why so many people are against the sprint weekends are the qualifying sessions themselves, which are completely hectic and leave a lot to be desired. A qualifying session is arguably supposed to be the most suspenseful part of a race weekend. Many times during the race itself, we may have a clear front runner, but in qualifying, we sometimes have positions that are determined by milliseconds. Having a qualifying session for the sprint race takes away some of the adrenaline and mystery for the main qualifying session. F1's attempt at changing the sprint quality is by simply giving drivers less time to set laps in each of the 3 parts. This just makes all the drivers' lives even more difficult, because now they virtually all have to be on track at the same time, the risk of impeding goes up, the risk of incidents goes up, and above all, the reward of winning a sprint pole position is nowhere near that of a race pole position. Besides the fact that sprint races pay very little in terms of points to the teams, the risk of damaging the car, making it almost impossible to repair before the main qualifying session, is way too high. Although you are driving your car on the limit every single time, you often have to wonder when to dial it back just a little bit. Sprint races are the exact situations where teams may be telling their drivers not to go all out and dive bomb into any gap they think may exist. This probably won't come as a shock to anyone, but Formula One cars are expensive and they aren't easy to repair. If drivers manage to get some sort of damage on the cars during the sprint race, this could potentially keep them out of the qualifying for the race completely, resulting in a grid position that is much lower than they would have maybe otherwise achieved. I think many drivers are hesitant to fully send it for this particular reason, because they almost fear the consequences of potentially destroying a car, giving their mechanics so much to do with so little time to do it. And the absolute worst thing about sprint races, in my opinion, is that we basically get a preview of exactly how the main race is going to unfold. Reliability isn't as big an issue in today's Formula One as it has been in the past. So nowadays, the main source of unknown we get from a race is the outright pace of the cars. When we have a sprint race, we are able to see the pace each car has on the specific track in a race simulation, because I don't think many teams are sandbagging during their sprints. This completely takes away from the experience of the build up towards and until the race, when we see which team and driver are truly the quickest. It's not as much fun if we already know who the quickest will be after Friday or Saturday. There could be a more exciting way to do the races. Maybe a reverse grid, which has previously been mentioned, would make the race interesting enough, without clearly giving away what will happen on Sunday. Something needs to be done about sprint races if Liberty Media and Formula One decide to keep them on for the long haul. The answer to what needs to be done is unfortunately much harder to find. With trial and error, hopefully we'll be able to see improvements towards the concept of the sprint weekend itself and towards the rewards that the drivers and teams get, making sure that they want to compete and do their best in these sprint events. But as of right now, F1 sprints are awful, and something needs to be done. Thank you guys for watching this video. As always, I do appreciate any time you leave a comment down below on what your thoughts on the topic are. And if you did enjoy this video, share it with your friends, leave a like, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys, and see you next time. Bye.